Hi everyone and welcome to the Mega Project Lab. Today we'll tell you about a terrifying weapon. We hope that no one will ever use it. In the 1960s, the United States began developing a combat railway missile complex. This complex was equipped with intercontinental ballistic missiles carrying nuclear warheads. The missiles were designed to strike strategic enemy targets at great distances. During the tests, military experts concluded that the project was very expensive and complex to operate. Moreover, they believed it had no significant advantages over conventional silo-based missiles. This led to the project's cancellation. However, 2 decades later, the idea was revived. The nuclear arms race between the Soviet Union and the United States pushed both sides to develop mobile missile systems with nuclear warheads. The United States planned to use the nationwide railway network to deploy trains carrying nuclear weapons. This would make it easier to evade enemy strikes. A special team of military analysts calculated the survival probability of such systems in a nuclear war scenario with the Soviet Union. They estimated that 25 missile trains patrolling 120,000 kilometers of railway would be challenging targets. Even in a nuclear attack, the Soviet Union would be able to destroy no more than 10% of them. Military experts insisted that railway missile complexes were the most promising components of nuclear forces. Despite the project's high cost and technical complexity, the United States Department of Defense pushed for its development. This was driven by intelligence that the Soviet Union was working on its own missile trains. Thus, achieving parity became urgent. By the mid-1980s, the project was in development. It featured the advanced LG-118A Peacekeeper missile. All major defense contractors were involved. The missile train would be pulled by 2 powerful locomotives from General Motors. 2 cars were designated for the crew. The train carried its own fuel in a special tank, allowing it to remain mobile for extended periods. The LG-118A missile was large. It weighed 88 tons and measured 22 meters in length. Consequently, the rail car designed to house and transport it was also sizable. It was 26 meters long and weighed 250 tons. To reduce the load, the car had 4 bogies with 2 wheel pairs each. During a launch, the car's roof would open and the missile container would rise to a vertical position. The missile would launch using a solid propellant pressure accumulator. The main engine would ignite in the air. It could hit targets up to 14,000 kilometers away. In 1990, a launch car was built and transported to Vandenberg Air Force Base for testing. After the test, it was moved to a rail testing center. Details of these tests are not publicly available. It is likely that issues were found, leading to further development. Meanwhile, in the Soviet Union, the perestroika reforms were in full swing. This led to significant disarmament agreements. After the Soviet Union's collapse, the United States reassessed its military strategy. It opted for a new doctrine that no longer included railway missile systems. This was due to their high cost and reduced strategic necessity. As a result, the project was terminated. Remaining developments were transferred to the National Museum of the United States Air Force. In the Soviet Union, an order to create a mobile combat railway missile complex with the RT-23 missile was signed on January 13, 1969. The Yuzhnoye Design Bureau was tasked with its development. It was led by brothers Vladimir and Alexei Yotkin. Vladimir focused on the missile, while Alexei worked on the train's rail cars. The railway missile complex was intended to form the core of the retaliatory strike force. It was capable of surviving even after a first strike. In 1987, the Molodets railway missile complex went on combat duty. This was quickly detected by American intelligence, which dubbed it the ghost train on Soviet railways. It was known as Train Number 0. The extensive rail network with numerous natural and artificial shelters made it difficult to pinpoint the train's locations. This was true even with satellites. The Soviet complex included 3 DM-62 locomotives, a command center with 7 cars, a fuel tank car and 3 launch units. It was disguised as a regular passenger and mail train. The complex was equipped with RT-23 missiles weighing 104 tons. The missiles could be launched from any point along the route. Upon receiving an order, the train would stop. The launch container would raise to a vertical position. The missile would be launched. In flight, the missile would tilt using a solid propellant booster before igniting its main engine. This avoided damage to the train and tracks. The entire operation from receiving the order to launching the missile took just 3 minutes. The railway missile complex successfully passed tests in all climate zones of the Soviet Union. This led to the deployment of 3 missile divisions. A total of 12 missile trains operated. They were capable of changing their launch positions by up to 1,000 kilometers per day. The RT-23 missiles had multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle warheads. Each missile had 10 warheads and advanced countermeasures against missile defenses. The end of combat patrols for railway missile complexes came with treaties signed by Mikhail Gorbachev and George Herbert Walker Bush. The agreements restricted these complexes to their bases, prohibiting their movement on the railway network. In 1993, Presidents George Bush and Boris Yeltsin signed the Second Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. This treaty banned missiles with MIRV warheads and required Russia to decommission all RT-23 missiles by 2003. For the decommissioning of railway missile complexes, a special dismantling line was established at the Bryansk repair plant. All trains and launch units were dismantled. 2 of these units were preserved as museum exhibits. They are now displayed at the Museum of Railway Technology in St. Petersburg's Baltic Station and in the Technical Museum. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated with our latest content. See you soon.